Do you ever have a hard time with family relationships?
Who doesn't have a hard time with
Dun,
family?
dun.
Yeah, family relationships sometimes. It's almost a loaded question because if someone says, no, they don't, it's like, well, either you're denying there's problems or you're in denial or whatever.
Yeah, really, to be close with people, you have to, spend time with them. If you spend time with anyone, there's going to be some sort of challenges because we're not robots or whatnot. But we want to talk about switch theory, which is a communication theory that I've developed where we talk about our thinking and whether or not we're in this positive space with our thoughts.
Okay.
Or if we're in a negative space. And
Okay, so can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
So you're saying positive or negative space. So things are going well with family, you're in a positive place. Like you're thinking positive thoughts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you could be the opposite too.
Yeah. Positive feelings, positive expectations, hope for the future.
Gotcha.
Or being in a negative space, you feel like a sense of despair. Maybe you feel discouraged, that there's no purpose.
Yeah, you don't like your family members maybe. Like you're feeling negative about them and that could cause you to withdraw. But the thing about family is even if you avoid them, they're still family.
Yeah.
So family relationships are difficult, aren't they?
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of value to make them good.
Exactly. I was going to say that they're so important, though, and this is why we want to apply switch theory to our families. And so I want you to think about a family relationship. It could be a really good one. It could be a troubled one. But you just think about, some of the early memories that you have. Typically in a relationship, we start off in a positive space. Now, this may not be with a family. I mean, you may have a sibling. I've got 4 brothers. And if I, had this troubled relationship with one of them, it could be that, I remember as a kid that they fought with me all the time. Or so all of my memories are negative. And so that would be very difficult if you feel like you want to get to a positive space, but all of your memories are negative.
Gotcha.
But the hope is that we can get back to a positive space. And so that's where we want to spend a little bit of time working through what to do in this, if you're in this negative space, but you want to be in a positive space.
So I have a question.
Okay.
It's not just long-term things that have maybe gone bad in a relationship, but you can go back and forth to negative and positive pretty quick.
Yeah.
So can we use us as an example?
Yeah.
Can we use our family? Okay. We're not always in a positive space. Even though we teach this, we talk about it, we work on it, we find ourselves slipping into a negative space, like more often than I'd probably want to admit.
For sure.
And it's hard.
Yeah.
And you can get negative about kiddos or family or even doing work because, hey, doing videos and doing things like this isn't always easy. And it can be easy to be negative, but it's really worth it to get positive. But it's work.
Yeah.
It's work to get back to a positive place.
Yeah, it can feel overwhelming for us to, try to balance our 3 boys and to share coming on video and sharing. It can be difficult and we can feel hopeful or we can feel hopeless. We can be in a positive space about it or a negative space. And so what are some things that we can do when we're in a negative space? If it was like that relationship with a sibling that we mentioned earlier, we can think, what are some positives about it? Or what do I want out of it? It doesn't have to be that every thought that we have is positive. It's just that it's productive and hopeful. So if we aren't liking our family, the dynamic that we have with our 3 boys, they could be very loud. And we say, this isn't the way we wanted to spend our weekend, fighting, sending people to timeout, all of these things. And then we try to regroup and we're like, I feel grumpy. I feel frustrated. I want to then punish kids, which makes them more frustrated and makes them want to be more grumpy. And we just kind of go down these downward spirals. So what do we do to get back to a positive space? So
I think I have an idea.
Okay.
So what about just communicating your expectations? Because with switch theory, right, you have expectations and then they're not met. So if we have expectations to have a really good day as a family, because you guys have probably had expectations, this is going to be the best family day ever, the best date, you fill in the blank. And then when it doesn't happen, we can get upset.
Yeah.
So maybe communicating about, I really want this to be good. And that's why you're upset.
Yeah.
Like that's maybe a better way to frame things.
Yeah, and some of the things that we've said, even before we went on vacation this year, we said, we're going to be in the car for a very long time. We're going to have fun. So we're speaking life into it. But we're like, but we're also going to have to stop probably a lot more than we want to. And we're probably going to have to break up some fights because we're going to be in a confined space. And so we're trying to set our expectations. Not saying, y'all just fight. You're always going to fight. You only fight. Like not telling them who they are before they ever do anything wrong.
That's demotivating.
But to say, we're going to have some hard moments. What are we going to do about it? So we have expectations for some flaw because we are flawed people, but we have optimism for it. So we've even talked like, okay, what do we do when the boys fight? And one of the questions I've been asking my boys is, what are you doing to break up a fight? Or what are you doing to help make this better?
What are you doing to make it better?
And I've been trying to ask them that in the middle. Sometimes I say, okay, I can tell your brother's doing something. What are you doing to help make this end? To make this better?
I probably need to ask myself that question because as a parent, what am I doing to make this better? Or am I just displaying my frustration with their behavior? Because me sharing my frustration with their behavior isn't always helpful. It can let them know that this isn't right, but it doesn't mean that it's telling them what to do better.
Yeah.
Like how to help get out of this pattern.
And for sure, we can escalate each other so much. So in the, especially the family unit with parents and kids,
Lots of tension. Yeah.
The kids are getting elevated. They're fighting, and like they're not listening. I'm like, stop fighting, and I'm like, stop fighting, right? All of a sudden, they're like, Mom yelled.
All of a sudden, we're contributing to what it is that we don't like.
Yeah, and so okay, what do I need to do next time? That's a positive space. Even if we're grumpy and we're like, all right, what are we going to do next time? This is not working. We don't have to be like, oh, our life is perfect. We can do everything so great.
It doesn't mean to be fake.
No, It's just having hope for the future and trying to think and process how we want to be different. Because as a family, if we aren't in a positive space, we aren't going to enjoy each other as much. But we can be in a positive space even if we have hard things, because we tend to want to get back to a positive space. We have this unmet expectation. We tend to want to communicate about it. We may not always do it right, or we may not always do it as well at all. But if we do get back to this positive space, then we do have the family or the day that we were wanting.
That's good. That's good. So that's a little bit of switch theory. It's great to get into switch theory, and you can get into even more of that with Why People Leave. So you can check that out on our website, elliotlifecoaching.com, Why People Leave, and see how you can apply this to your life. And there's lots of different applications, but family is huge because we truly believe that having a solid, healthy family impacts everything else. It impacts your work life, your relationships, your kids' future marriages. If you work on the way that your family is now, it really matters.